Hello students, I'm making this video for you so that I can both show it in class and upload it into Schoology so that you can watch it if you feel like you need help. This is what you are doing tomorrow. So today in class, you are first working in your homogeneous text group. So all the blue text people are together, the pink text, the yellow text, etc. And you're really collaborating and making sure that you know what's going on with your text. And you're maybe comparing your summaries and making sure that you're ready to go forth into your next group. In the next group, you are with, there is a blue text person, a yellow text person, and a pink text person, and you are really giving the information on your text to the other two people. So this is why your summaries become really important, because they're going to be taking notes so that they know everything that that is on that particular text. On Thursday, when you come into class, we are going to get back into those heterogeneous groupings, which a blue text, a yellow text, and a pink text person, mixed text groups, and you are going to work on a grapes chart. And the subject of the grapes chart is that you are really looking at how the Black Death affected these different categories on a grapes chart. So I'm going to go through this with you and tell you what you're going to do. Of course, you're going to ask questions tomorrow once we get to it, but I did want to give you a heads up today. The first thing I want to point out is that what I'm showing you here is the entire chart. When you get into your task 3 groups, the charts are actually going to be divided into thirds. So there's going to be one person will have the geography and religion, one person will have the art and architecture and politics, and the third person will have the economy and the society. And you can hand those around. I don't really care how you do that, but I want everybody to be busy doing something. I don't want one person to be writing and waiting and the other people are waiting around for that to happen. So the first thing you want to do is you want to remember what each of these initials in grapes really stand for. So we worked with grapes when we handled Africa. I hope you remember that. And I just want to point out, so when you get your section of the chart, so it will literally be these 2 boxes right here, and the first one is going to say geography. You are going to write in this section, what do we mean about geography? What does that refer to? So you're going to maybe talk within your group and you're going to recall that when we talk about geography, we're talking about landforms and we're talking about climate and we're talking about water and so forth. And you might be saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, Black Death didn't really have any impact on the geography. Well, also included in geography is how we use the land. And I would argue that the Black Death had a huge impact on the way land was used, because people really abandoned the land and what happened to farms. And in one of the articles, they really talk about what landlords started doing with the soil, because they didn't have as many people to work. So you really want to make sure that you're thinking about, in the context of Black Death, what do we mean by geography? You could really also talk about where people live, which this is an enormous aspect of the Black Death. For religion, what do we mean by religion? Well, there's a lot of religion in here. We know what people thought caused the Black Death. In one of the articles, it really talked about many people in religious orders had higher mortality rates than other people. You really want to think about, how did people view religion? Did some people get more religious? Did some people get really less religious? And this is where, if you feel like within your text you don't have enough information, that's when you want to seek to do some further information. Moving down, so the next page is going to be art and architecture and politics. So this is going to be on its own separate sheet. And for this one, you're going to jot down in this particular column right here, what do we mean by art? Well, there was painting, there was sculpture. I don't know if there was a lot of it, but it was there. For architecture, it's buildings, how people are living. And in the next part, I'm going to refer you to the fact that sometimes it isn't what is being built, but what isn't being built. And how did people's living arrangements change? That can all go into architecture. For art, I showed you that one painting, Triumph of Death, by Peter Bruegel, which is in your textbook. And again, you could do some further research. When we talk about politics, what constituted politics? We're talking about maybe the feudal pyramid. We're talking about the power of kings. We're talking about maybe the power of the churches in there, because we know the popes had a big influence on government. So those are things that you would jot down. You just want to make sure how are laws being followed? Are laws being followed? If I know I'm going to die tomorrow, I might go out and rob a couple banks. I don't know. So you want to jot down in this space, what do we mean by politics? Our third paper is going to be focused on economy and society. So one of the texts is literally called economic disruption. So what do we mean by the economy? What is part of the economy? And you want to write that in this space on your chart so you know what we're talking about. And then society, really talking about social factors, not just how people treated each other, but how did families change? How did gender roles change? How did the class system change? So there's a whole lot to be said for all of these things in terms of the changes that was the Black Death made. So I broke this down, and I'm telling you further, this is what this is going to look like. So I'm telling you here that one person is going to get a paper like this, and one person is going to be responsible for geography and religion. So it says here, each person will have 2 sections of the grapes chart. So you can see there's 1, there's 2. And eventually your groups are going to put your sections together to make a complete chart. But again, I wanted everybody to kind of have something to do. I want you to really extend your thinking to identify secondary effects of the Black Death on each category in the chart. One of the reasons I'm showing you this video today is that if you haven't really been able to come up with secondary effects, that's something you might want to think about tonight. Some of the information is going to come from your text, so you should have done that. You can totally rewatch the videos we saw in class. I've uploaded those into Schoology. Miss Williams and I have also developed thinking prompts for each category if you get stuck. So if you say, oh man, I don't know what to say about religion, you come ask us and you can pull a thinking prompt out of the box, and that will help you think a little further. You also each should have an iPad. You can absolutely do independent research if you can't quite get where you need to be. So what I'm telling you in this section of the chart, so yours will be blank, you are going to use information from all 3 texts. So this is why the summaries that your group members provided for you, this is why they're important. This is how they are important. You're going to talk about how the Black Death affected geography, and I think there's a lot you can say here. Here, using information from all 3 texts, how did the Black Death affect religion? So there's all kinds of things going on here, and your responsibility is to really be thinking about those secondary effects. You do not have to write incomplete sentences. You can use bullet points, but it should be legible. It should be large enough that people can see it. I'm telling you right here in this little call out here, it says that I really encourage collaboration. So if you kind of get stuck, of course, you're in a group. You're going to talk to your group member, but I want every person to be in charge of the grapes chart because this is how you're getting graded. This is a graded assignment. If I move on down to art and architecture, again, I've just given you some ideas. We didn't talk a ton about art and architecture in class, so this is where you can really extend your thinking, use your iPad. I've given you some extras here. And then politics, there's a whole lot to say about politics. And again, when you're working in your group and you're getting stuck and your group members can't unstick you, that's when you're going to ask for help. And then this would be our final page. So I put these on the same page, but this is going to be the third page. So this is going to be economy and society. Again, the pink text was all about economic disruption, and in terms of society, we had a lot of stuff there. And if you ask for a thinking prompt, I'm also going to tell you about some other people you can look up, but I mention here that each of the three texts has something to say about both of these categories. Now, in this example, I've set this chart up as landscape, but you can also do it portrait style. So in portrait style, you would have the chart would be just with the pages up and down. This doesn't really help you, but it would kind of look like that. And you would have geography here and religion here. I don't really care which way you do it, but all three people need to decide on the same thing. So this is really what we're looking at doing on Thursday, working in groups. I'm setting you up for success by forcing you to watch this video today, and I hope this helps you on your education journey.